All right, from planting seeds in the spring to fall harvest, we've covered so many stories from our farming community in 2025.
That's right. This year, we're showing off the fruits of our labor and our local farmers in this year's Year in Review.
Well, most farm equipment has a cab, but this sprayer in Carroll County is a little bit like a living room Roomba. That's because it has no driver.
This is the whole entire brain of the operation. There's a main box that literally powers everything.
It's hooked up with about 18 cameras.
This guy right here, that's our Starlink, so that's our connectivity.
Moving at about a mile an hour, Larissa Cornelison knows it's a futuristic site off of Highway 52.
So really, it's kind of neat that once it's going, it's very autonomous. We just kind of sit back and I can monitor 20 of them at a time if I need to.
The self-driving machine uses AI to spray chemicals on crops like corn and soybeans.
And then you'd find something like this, you'd pull that.
It's a rite of passage in rural areas.
Pull that.
People like David don't just walk fields of corn for fun.
This is my 13th year.
They're creating an environment to crossbreed plants and creating new hybrids for farmers to grow.
You need to pull the tassels so that the pollen's coming from the plants that you desire.
Kyle Burke is a research specialist at Wyffels, and there's a lot of research that goes into these fields.
A lot of people know that, like, if your corn's knee-high by the 4th of July now, it's not doing very well, you know, so a lot of that has to do with the hybridization process.
And if we can scrape those off, it's fly poop. But if we can't scrape off these little black spots, then we know that's tar spot.
Once it takes hold, it blocks photosynthesis, weakening the stalk and producing smaller ears.
And so we may have the same amount of kernels as a normal crop, but the kernel weight will be significantly less.
Farmer Chad Bell has about 1,700 acres of farmland, half of which is corn. He's losing 30 to 40 bushels per acre to the fungus.
Whoever's riding on the back of it will physically take the plant out and shove it in that hole for every single hole.
We're losing water.
You know, if you're going to put in 100,000 watermelon, somebody has sat there and punched down 100,000 plants.
The secret to a plentiful crop is in Muscatine's sandy soil.
I think we will grow somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 watermelon, maybe 60,000.
Yeah, I think this is a really good looking ear.
Whether it's on the cob,
Big, it's long, it's round, there's a lot of kernels around, we get a lot of length out of it.
or in a can or freezer bag,
It's juicy, it's fresh.
Matt and Katie Fleming's 2,000 acres of sweet corn reaches the right audience.
They're using a little bit different equipment out in the field, so they're picking the entire ear as opposed to just the kernels of corn.
Those ears are gathered, then travel 2 hours to Janesville, Wisconsin.
Once it gets to the plant, it'll have about an hour process and then it'll be in the can. So about 4 to 5 hours before it's in a can from once it's harvested.
Now, for all of our farmers at home, we'll be having our man, the plants and garden expert Craig Hignite, on the show around 11:45.
Yeah, head to our Facebook now to get your questions in.